What's going on, everyone? In today's video, I'm going to talk about 10 overhyped Yu-Gi-Oh decks that flopped. Yes, 10 decks that everyone thought was going to be amazing, and they wind up being duds, at least over here in the TCG. But before I get to the actual video, you guys already know what you guys should be doing. Smashing that like button. We need a 200 like minimum. So yeah, man, let's get into today's topic. The reason why I want to make this video is because there are a lot of decks that were duds that everyone thought was going to be broken. And a viewer did ask me, I forgot the guy's name. He was like, hey man, you should make a top 10 list about decks that flopped. So this video is for that one guy. So yeah, man, let's get into it. Start out with number 10, Naturia. Now, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys know about the epic Naturia fail from back in the day. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't playing Yu-Gi-Oh back then when Naturia was popping. I was playing Naruto. But from what I hear, when the Naturia first came out, I heard they were decent, the OCG, kind of roguish, and people in the TCG was paying top dollar for them because they expected them to be pretty broken, and it was mainly because of the Naturia bamboo shoot right here. His effect pretty much reads if he's tribute something by tributing a Naturia monster, while he remains face up on the field, your opponent can enter base spell or trap card. So it's a solid effect, and for back then, that's pretty broken. So we're talking 2010, 2011 era, so I can see why people thought this deck was going to take off. Unfortunately, the first regional season came around and the deck flopped. So with that being said, Naturia is on this list at number 10 for one of the decks that was overhyped and flopped in the end. Coming to this list at number 9, NobleKnights. Now, NobleKnights is a deck I definitely remember because it's a deck that came out around the same time when I got back into Yu-Gi-Oh. NobleKnights was a deck that Konami releases a TCG exclusive, and it was supposed to be based around quick equip spells and spell cards and just being knights at the round table. It had a pretty cool concept to it because it was something that you'd expect out of the TCG. You know, with knights at the round table, shows like Game of Thrones being very popular, just medieval time in general, everyone was expecting NobleKnights to be good, and they had pretty solid effects for the most part, and the deck could win if you got all of the cards to the field. But the thing is, the deck just didn't have that one card to push it over the top. I believe a lot of the pro NobleKnight players, so they didn't have a lot of consistency, and when they did set their boards up, once you lost your board, it was pretty much GG no because it was an equip spell deck. So it was too many cards that relied on other cards, which is why the deck started to flop. So with that being said, NobleKnights had to make this list at number 9 for a deck that was overhyped, really expected to look to do good, but came out being a dud. I mean, Konami even re-released the entire deck as a promotional kit in the TCG, and the deck still got little to no support. Coming to this at number 8, Subterror. Now, this is fairly recent with the Subterror / Spiral thing. Subterror was a deck that, with the first round of support versus the Spiral's first round of support, you'd have thought that Subterror would have been an optimal deck. A lot of the cards had high rarities, a lot of the cards had unique flip effects, and it was something that a lot of TCG players thought was going to be good, due to the fact that outside of Shadows, and I guess you could say Worms, we never really got a flip summon deck that was supposed to be really good for the TCG, or just any Yu-Gi-Oh deck that mattered that was pretty solid. And then we saw this guy Subterror Behemoth Stalker right here. You flip them up, you pick a Subterror monster, draw 2 cards. You can flip them back face down. They had a field spell with the secret rare. I mean, overall, the deck looked extremely promising. But moving forward, just like Spirals, the deck flopped. And even in the OCG, when they released more exclusive Subterror support, the fact that you had to set everything and Nobleman and Crossout being a card, the deck never had enough power to push off the way it did. And it's kind of unfortunate because, like most players, I was kind of looking forward to seeing this deck at top tables. And no, not me playing the deck personally, but I was looking forward to people using a unique mechanic that's not used too often in Yu-Gi-Oh to being good. So with that being said, man, Subterror has to make this list number 8. It's a deck that was very overhyped and very wishful, but just didn't get that edge. Coming to list number 7, Darklords. Now, this is another one that was pretty recent. Now, this is all based off of OCG results. Darklords, when they first came out of the OCG, was killing it. It was top 8. It was winning events. It was crazy. So, naturally, when the deck transferred over to the TCG, everyone thought the deck was going to be tier 1, maybe tier 0, People were hyping the deck up. The cards were fairly expensive. Allure Darkness was at 3, so everyone wanted to play this deck. Deck drops into TCG. Same thing happened like with the Naturias. The deck flopped. Reason being, TCG decks we had were better. I believe it was around the same time we had Zodiacs in the early stages. We still had things like Cosmos and Burning Abyss pretty much almost at full power. So with that being said, you know, Darklords just couldn't compete. Now, you know, the deck is still pretty solid for the most part and still a good rogue deck, but it just doesn't have the oomph like a lot of us thought it would have. So with that being said, man, Darklords had to make this as number 7 because of it was projected to be a good day based on the OCG results, but that just goes to show you that the OCG and TCG meta have 2 different metas, and those differences in the metas matter when you transform decks over from meta to meta and expect them to do equally well. Coming to number 6, Toons. Now, I really remember this about 2 or 3 years ago when everyone thought Toons was going to be the best thing since sliced bread. Toons got new support in the in that DRL2 pack, and with the support card right here, Toon Kingdom activate effect, meaning banish 3 cards on the top of your deck face down. It becomes Toon World, and with your opponent not be able to target Toon monsters you control with card effects. A lot of people started picking up the Toon card. They go like, okay, Toon's getting support. Pegasus is my favorite character in the TV show. People legit went all out and bought this deck. When it came time for everything to come out, the deck flopped. It was too slow, and it might steal a few games at locals, but regions in the YCS level, it never cut it, man. So with that being said, Toons was definitely one of those overhyped decks at one point because people thought it were going to be good, and it didn't, which is kind of unfortunate because it's a classic, and it's one of those decks that if it would have been good, it would have been really hyped because heck, it's Toons, it's Pegasus's deck. Come on, guys. Coming to number 5, Fluffals. Now, Fluffals, this is also another thing based on OCG results. In the OCG, Fluffals have their Frightful Patchwork, which does a lot of work, adds more consistency to the deck. And while they do have a little bit of success in the TCG by topping locals and a few regionals, they never really got to that massive YCS topping consistently like I would like them to. So with that being said, they had to make the list number 5 because they are one of those decks that a lot of players love, and it has a cult following, which is why it does well, kind of similar to Heroes. But it's overhyped mainly due to the fact that we never got the support, and by the time we got the support, it came out late. So Konami kind of threw the ball on this one for the TCG, which is why it became kind of a flop over here in the TCG. Coming to number 4, Dark Magicians. Now, Dark Magicians is a deck that does kind of similar concept, where it does well in the OCG for a little bit, and then we came to TCG, and it does okay, maybe on the region level, if that. But you know, they have a lot of good support cards. It's just not powerful enough, and a lot of the cards in the deck need other cards to do things. So with that being said, if you have an entire deck that's based around you need X, Y, and Z card to matter, it's not going to be a solid deck. I feel like the deck is a little bit too behind its time, but for the most part, once it gets its combos off, it does well. But with that being said, the deck was definitely overhyped for the time, and it's still fairly expensive because people just believe in the deck. But unfortunately, it's kind of a dud in TCG, so I don't expect that to change anytime soon unless the meta slows down a lot. Coming to number 3, Igknights. Now, Igknights is another deck, same concept. I guess a lot of these decks on this list was pretty decent in the OCG. When it came to the TCG, they were flopped. And I think that's mainly because a lot of us in the TCG get things late, and the ban lists are completely different. Igknight, pretty good deck in the OCG, flopped in the TCG. It just wasn't as solid. Like, I think once we got decks like that other Pendulum deck, the one that you pop the scales, once we got Pendulum decks in general that can compete, Igknights it was seeming as an engine. It was just too slow to do it. So with that being said, man, yeah, Igknights was definitely hyped. There's nothing more to be said out there, man. The deck was just solid at one point in the OCG. Then when it came to the TCG, it's like one silent strike and it was game over, man. Coming to number 2, Constellars. And I remember this too. I believe Constellars definitely suffered from the coming out too late treatment. I mean, it was okay as a rogue deck in the TCG, and it had a huge cult following. I believe it had something to do with the anime, and a character in the anime used Constellars. But with that being said, Constellars was mainly abused in the TCG as more of a supporting archetype than anything. So with that being said, man, yeah, Constellars had to make this number 2. It just came out too late. That's all I can pretty much say about it. And the last deck I have on this list that was overhyped but flopped when it came over to the TCG, or just flopped in general for Yu-Gi-Oh, is Ninjas. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I cannot remember because it's been about 5 years. I believe Ninjas was originally a TCG exclusive archetype from 2012. And a lot of people were hyping this deck because it had a cool concept. You can abuse the old ninjutsu card that allow you to bring out that one bird whose name I can't think of to come to the board to block out the back row. You could abuse that other I can't think of these cards' names right now. I'll have the pictures on the screen. You can bring out this other card that you can negate effects with. It was another bird kind of dragon card. So it had a lot of tricks you can use in a ninja deck, but unfortunately it suffered, and it had its own little white dragon ninja that had that stock effects as well. It just suffered from just, at the time, the meta was so powerful with the wind ups and sectors, it definitely could not compete. But it was definitely a cool concept deck. I remember the first regionals I went to when this deck came out, I was running creature swap because I was so scared of just getting my back row locked out. I thought this deck was going to be tier 1, just like a lot of players did. But overall, the deck flopped. I mean, at most, it was a supporting deck. But for the most part, it just couldn't do well. So tell me what you guys think about this list in the comment section down below. How did I do? And there's decks that were overhyped that you felt like should have been on this list that wasn't. Also, post that in the comment section down below. Subscribe if you haven't. Also, one more thing. So I do have the giveaway that I'm supposed to announce this week. I'll probably announce that in my video on Thursday or Friday whenever I decide to drop that video, but the giveaway winner will be announced in that video, and the new round of the giveaways will be announced in that video as well, so be on the lookout for that. So with that being said, man, this is Innovation Yugioh, and I'm signing out. Peace and stay innovative, guys. Deuces.